All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Tom McNair. I'm the Executive Director of Ohio City Incorporated. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our May community meeting. As you know, as part of our commitment to equity, we do a lot of things to try to make these meetings equitable to all folks, whether that's providing child care, transportation to and from Riverview Tower, Lakeview Estates, Fairview Gardens, right? Food. We really want to eliminate barriers to these information. And one of those things that we always do is record and live stream these meetings. Turns out that apparently the school thinks that live streaming is not something they want a lot of kids doing. So they changed the network configuration, which blocked us, and we have scurried to try to get a hotspot going, but it doesn't seem to be cooperating with us. So we are recording this. It will be posted tomorrow on the web. We think this is critical information with our Meet the Candidates coming on later, but this will not be simulcast tonight. I do want to start off again by saying thank you to everyone for coming tonight. I also, if anyone was able to make it to our fundraiser, the Ohio City Open last weekend, that was a highly entertaining event. We had about 150 people. Thank you to Urban Community School, who not only hosts these, they allowed us to host our fundraiser in their gym last weekend. We created an Ohio City themed mini golf course. We had about 150 people show up. We had great food and beverages from the neighborhood, raffle prizes. It was a ton of fun. There are a lot of things that we need to work on, but it was one of the more entertaining fundraisers I've been to. I want to thank Katie Bombach from our staff, who was kind of her brainchild, but everyone on staff did a ton of hard work. We had a lot of great volunteers. Thank you to Gigi, and I know Helen were there early. Also gold stars to Ben Trimble and Brandon Collier from our staff, who I think were there from like 1 p.m. till 12:30 a.m. at night, kind of helping pull that off. And Austin Reeves also was a big volunteer to stay late, so thank you so much. And we very much look forward to bringing this back next year. Like I said, I think it was a really entertaining night. So we are going to switch things up a little bit tonight. I think, as many of you know, came here tonight is our Meet the Candidates night. Now, typically speaking, we will have, we start off with kind of Ohio City business first, and then we move on to guest presentations for things going on in the neighborhood. But we wanted to allow enough time for Meet the Candidates, for all the candidates to be able to say, what it is, why they want to serve on our board, and also have some Q&A with the audience, and we didn't want that constrained by things that were coming. So we will be switching the order of these, and also Carrie McCormack will not be able to be joining us tonight. For anyone who has been paying attention, the ARPA legislative proceedings are going on down at City Hall. I had the distinct pleasure of being at City Hall yesterday from 9 a.m. until 8 o'clock at night, and Carrie is having another one of those today. The good news is, for people in Ohio City who were part of that yesterday, the West Side Market did get $10 million allocated to it, which is incredibly exciting, and Carrie did a lot of work to help make that a reality. That's been kind of a highlight item lately. And also yesterday, through the first round of committee hearings, $5 million to kind of come out of the municipal properties for Irishtown Penn Park, which is incredibly exciting. So more on that to come. But with that, we will get things started with a water main replacement. I know we have some guests here from the city of Cleveland that we're going to talk a little bit about how this is going to impact the residents around West 36th Street. Where'd they go? Yes. Wonderful. Come on up. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Whitney Babak, and I am the project engineer for this upcoming water main project on West 36th. So I just have a little bit of information for you.
If you hit the arrow, you can scroll. There's a slide for you.
So as you can see, we're just on West 36th from Bailey Avenue to
Can you talk a little bit louder?
Into the
I'm sorry. And we'll only be doing 185 feet of water main in this area, so we'll be taking out the old 6-inch, putting in an 8-inch main. It shouldn't impact the area too much because I know that there aren't any residents on that street, but it will impact the people on Bailey Avenue because the contractor will have to do some work on Bailey Avenue before the water main. We plan on beginning this work in July. When we are done, we will restore the roadway. Anything that we disturb, we will replace. This water main specifically is mainly for the condos that are being built right there on the corner. But it shouldn't be too much of an impact to the surrounding area. If there's any traffic disruptions, just bear with our contractor. They'll do their best to get out of your way and let you through to wherever you have to go. But my contact information is here, as well as the contractor and my on-site inspector. We expect to be done with the work by September. It shouldn't take that long, but that's just the time that we have so that they can come back and pave and make sure the roadway is restored. Is there any questions? Yes.
Do I need to use the microphone? I mean, I can go over there.
We can do this one, Brian.
I didn't know if you wanted me to use that.
Stay or leave.
My name is Brian Steffen, and I live in the Orchard neighborhood. I just wanted to ask if there's been an inventory of the trees along the street where the water main will be replaced to assure that there's no damage to those trees once the project is completed.
Yes, we did do that prior to the project beginning. Whatever's there, we actually asked our contractors to put up tree protection to specifically not damage trees. So if they have to prune them, they will, but they will not be removing anything unless the city, our urban forestry division asks them to.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I have some information if anybody wanted to have it. It's just a few flyers because I know that there's not any residents on that street, so I'll leave them on the back table. Also, there is a link for a YouTube video if anyone wants to go back and see it or see the presentation for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next up we have Matt Moss, Cleveland City Planning Commission, to talk about the potential conversion of a one-way street into a two-way street, West 38.
Got it. Thanks, Tom. I'm just going to take this, if that's okay. A little easier. I want to make sure you all can hear me. Sound good?
Yes.
Great. All right. I don't usually here as a city planner, but today I get to pretend to be a traffic engineer. So I think I have some time to take a few questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure before we get started. All right. So I'm here to talk to you all today about West 38th Street, specifically between Woodbine and Bridge. So some of you may recall when the city redid Fulton Road, we closed the street 38 at Fulton, and that section used to be a one-way. It then became a two-way because it was closed at Fulton, so we needed to allow traffic to be able to turn around or use the alley, that kind of thing. So right now, what is currently a one-way street is West 38th between Woodbine and Bridge. And so between Detroit and Woodbine, it's a two-way. South of Bridge, it's a two-way. Dead ends into Fulton. This is a zoomed-in shot of the street. I'm sure you all are familiar with it. But these are the two blocks we're talking about. So these two blocks, 38th is a one-way road. This is what it looks like at the north end, looking south, and the south end looking north. There's an existing traffic signal there. The other two intersections are stop controlled. So we've got some requests from a few residents and also from Councilman McCormick to take a look at turning this back into a two-way, or turning it into a two-way. I'm not sure if it ever was a two-way, but it will be again, potentially. So we did a traffic count back in 2021. That traffic count showed that there were about 605 cars a day. So that's about 25 an hour or 6 cars every 15 minutes, just to give you a sense of how busy it was at that time. Right now, again, at Woodbine it's a four-way stop, at Whitman it's a four-way stop, and at Bridge the signal, no changes to any way in which the intersections are controlled. What we're going to do is do another traffic count, so we have an updated count of what that is. That'll also tell us average speeds, that kind of thing. Some of you, I'm sure, are aware of the city's traffic calming pilot program, which we just released an update to last week. So that'll also potentially qualify for that, but we're just going to have to do the speed count and traffic count again to see where it lands. The main reason why we want to do a traffic count is right now the road is pretty narrow. There's parking on both sides of the street. It's our intention to maintain parking on both sides of the street so we wouldn't lose any on-street parking. We just want to make sure that based on the average traffic volume, how many cars per day are driving down the street, that might not cause any undue congestion. Because now that you have a two-way road, sometimes if you're driving down the street, if it's got parking on both sides, you might have to let a car pass, for example, before you go. So we just want to make sure that it might not cause any issues. We don't expect it to. We're just doing our due diligence. So like I said, we're going to do a new traffic count. I'll let you know when that happens, and I'm happy to share that information with OCI to spread it around if you all have any questions about that, or if you want to see the results. Again, intent is to retain parking on both sides, and I'm here today to let you know what it is, share my contact information, and I'll also introduce my colleague Brittany, who's here too, so you can email us if you have any questions, concerns, or comments. And we basically will set a date probably later in June. Again, once we have some traffic counts done, it takes us about a week to gather counts. I'm doing counts over the city right now. But we'll follow up with a date for when we expect the change to happen. Again, assuming that there aren't any issues that study will be able to switch around expecting any, but just making sure. So again, I'm Matt Moss. I work for the City Planning Commission. I'm joined by my colleague now, Brittany, who's in the back. Brittany, go ahead and stand up and wave. Brittany's the new Near West planner for the City Planning Commission. So you can email both of us. You can email one of us if you want, but we're both on here, so feel free to send us both an email if you've got questions or concerns or comments. And if there are any questions right now, I'm happy to answer them, or we can certainly take them forward and get you any answers that I can give you today.
Yeah. Well,
Can you walk up to the mic, please? Thank you.
has the school district weighed in at all for Near West Intergenerational School? Because that section is that section two-way now? Yes. It already is two-way. Oh, okay.
Between
Never mind.
Woodbine and the section by the school is already two-way.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up too, because that road section is actually wider. It's physically wider than the
Yeah.
section right now. So that's why we're taking a little extra caution before just switching it over. Sure.
Thank you for being here. This isn't really directly about that, but I work at St. Patrick's Church, so I see traffic at West 38th and Bridge, every day for the last 24 years. I'm curious about the section of West 38th that is south of Bridge, and the barrier was put in down at Fulton, where everybody here knows all this, because people who are unfamiliar with that go all the way to the end and then have to turn around in the street to come back out.
Right.
I'm wondering why there's not a barrier right at that first alley at the corner by the park, so people would get to the alley and see I have to turn here, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have gotten some feedback from some other residents about that. The short answer is those barriers aren't cheap. I think what we can do for now, and what I think was good feedback I got at the Walk Club last week, was we could have more signs installed so it's a little more obvious. But I think long term, that's something we definitely want to do, is make that clear that. And I think we have some long term goals to incorporate that street now into the park and the library that's there. That's very long term. So it's a little out of the scope of this conversation for sure.
Sure.
But you're absolutely right. That I think we do know that that's happening, and we want to add some more signage to address that in the short term.
Right. And in no way do I want anyone to infer that I'm trying to create more traffic on that alley. I'm
Sure.
not at all. But prevent traffic from heading south on 38th from Bridge.
And having to turn
when
around.
inevitably they just have to turn around the street and come back.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're going to try to address that. We'll put signs up and we'll see how it works, but please let us know if it doesn't alleviate the issue.
Is there any way to get Google or the map things that that people use, because we think that that's one of the problems.
Yeah.
That you see people, I know Howard and Ann see people down the alley, looking at their phones then.
Right.
Confusedly.
Yeah, that's another good point. We can look into that. Google kind of does its own thing, but happy to give them a tip that doesn't work anymore. So I can reach out. I don't know exactly how that'll go, but I'll let you know next time we come back to give an update. Yeah, if I have one. Anyone else? Brittany, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I love the Google. It's a pretty simple process. You just send it in, and it's like a 2 to 3 week turnaround.
Cool.
Not bad.
We'll get on it. If they say no for whatever reason, then I don't know, we'll try something else. Cool?
Very good.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Probably out here. Okay, Okay, our next presentation is going to be by Mark Raymond, Cleveland Hospital owner, for a presentation on the future Hewlett Hotel. As a part of that, before Mark gets started here, we're going to have Matt kind of come up and talk a little bit about how the site is zoned and what that means, right? Just to kind of set a little bit of context for the conversation. And this is one of the things that actually we were having a good discussion with city planning earlier today. One of our goals in these meetings is to continue to find ways that we are educating the community on kind of these development proposals and how they come through, right? And rather that the Ohio City Incorporated says, no, they can do this or can't do that, right? And I feel like people have a lot of ideas about what that means when we say it. Or trusting a developer for its word. We think it's important that the city play a role in kind of doing that educational piece. So with that, I'm going to invite Matt back up to talk a little bit about the site, and then Mark can come up for his presentation.
All right, thanks, Tom. I know you all miss me. Let's see here. Great. Yeah, so just for some context, you can see on the screen left side of this, or right side of it, the project site's located in a local historic district, the Detroit Historic District, and that means it's part of the local landmark district as well. And so essentially what that means is the Landmark Commission has design approval over the project. So that project, I believe, has gone to landmarks already for conceptual review. Typically projects go for a feedback and review. It's usually called conceptual review. They take comments, they make changes, if necessary, if the commission recommends it. They then represent for what's called a certificate of appropriateness. That's basically final design approval in the landmarks world. So on the other side of the screen, you can see the zoning map. So I'll focus on the pink color that you see now with the site highlighted in red. So basically, the zoning district for this area, this property, is the local retail zoning district. Local retail is the most restrictive, generally commercial district that we have right now in our zoning code. So you can, basically in a local retail district, you can open a coffee shop, you can sell clothing, you can open a bakery, you can have a small restaurant, that kind of thing. What it doesn't allow are some of those bigger, more intensive entertainment uses. You can think of like nightclubs, for example, not allowed in local retail. Larger assembly uses, so places where large people might gather, like event centers, or even other uses like hotels, for example, those aren't permitted in local retail districts. Those are actually first permitted in the next district up, which is general retail. So as it relates to this project in particular, that's important because hotels aren't permitted as primary uses within a local retail district. So for this project to proceed, it'll need a use variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals. That's important because, in fact, there are a few areas in Ohio City right now where you can actually build a hotel by right. Just as a point of context, the only general retail zoning district right now is Lutheran Hospital. So that's the only site in the Ohio City neighborhood that's zoned general retail. There are some new, we did have created a new zoning district relatively recently. It's called limited retail, and because zoning has to be confusing, it is a little confusing. But basically, if you look at the project site, so Intro, for example, that's a project that we rezoned to limited retail. And the reason why we did that is because limited retail allows those uses like hotels, like other things that we want to have some type of hospitality service in neighborhoods like Ohio City. The reason why we didn't want it to be general retail, the reason why we created limited retail is because it doesn't allow auto-oriented uses, like used car lots, which are permitted in general retail, auto repair shops, which are permitted in general retail. So we want to be more selective about where that goes. And so that's one reason why it's so limited in Ohio City. So they'll need a use variance from the local retail district. It's my understanding too that the project also involves a housing component, and they'll likely need an area variance. And so without getting too much into the weeds, but I'm happy to answer questions if there are questions about it. Basically, the zoning code restricts the total floor area you're allowed to have for residential use. And based on their plans right now, the number of units they want to add, they would likely need a variance from that requirement as well. But that's why we have, in a lot of ways, in a lot of areas, this design review process to help determine what is the appropriate amount to have. So that variance is really common. It's easy in the sense to justify why you might need that variance. So that's another variance they'll probably need. But other than that, it's my understanding that they're still going through the formal permitting process, so we'll get a clearer understanding of what those are in the communities. Sound good?
Height?
Height. I don't think there'll be a height variance.
No.
Yeah, so the other thing our zoning code regulates, so we regulate use, we regulate residential floor area, and we regulate height. But as far as I know, this project doesn't need a height variance. It's within the allowed height district for the area.
thanks for coming. I'm Mark Raymond, as I said earlier. We've been working on this project for a little while, through the pandemic and before, but we're back again and with a bigger and better plan. So, yeah, just for some more context, those maps, they were up at West 25th Street, would have been on your right. Detroit was at the top of the screen. The property, you want to go to the next screen?
You can.
Yeah, so here we kind of have an idea. You see 25th going up and down, Detroit at the top. We're between Detroit and Church Avenue. So we have St. John's Church just behind Church and 26th. Key Bank just at Church and 25th there. And Irish Town Bend Park across the street, which will be really awesome in a couple years. And these are just some existing views of the buildings. There's currently 2 historic buildings on the site. There's a 3-story building up at the top there, and then there is the 2-story building with Fleetwise truck parts in it currently, which is the lower one over there. And then there's just some from the back of the site as well. It's the 3-story building has the mural on the side, which you've probably seen before, which we plan to keep. Here are just some more photos of the site and streets around. And this is the zoning review here that Matt went over. The Height District is actually allows up to 115 feet. We're only proposing about 55 feet, so we have about 60 for that we're not going to use. And the other thing is parking. We're proposing to have 36 spaces on site. For the project is a 63-room hotel with a rooftop bar, 6 apartments, a restaurant, and some retail spaces. So we have 36 parking spaces, and there would be a variance needed for about 10 spaces that we don't have on site. These are just some context views of the proposed buildings in relation to buildings that are already there. So we have on 25th at the top. On the right is the Forest City Apartments, just to get an idea of the height. So we're just a little under those apartments there, and then on the bottom one here is St. John's Church, which we're below the peak of that and well below the steeple. This again shows just some other views with St. John's Church and also the Forest City apartment buildings on the left. Blue froze here. So we know where the location is there. Plan to include on the first floor a restaurant for the hotel, which would also be for the neighborhood. The lobby for the hotel, and then 2 retail spaces as well. Those would all be on 25th Street. On West 26th, the parking would be accessed off of West 26th, so kind of similar layout how it is currently. Yeah, so floors, second and third floors, they would have guest rooms, along 25th, and then there'd be a new building proposed on West 26th Street, which would be above the parking. And so there'd be rooms on second and third floor, and then on the fourth floor, on 25th, there'd be a rooftop bar overlooking Irish Mountain Park and the city. And then on the 26th side, there would be 6 apartments on the fourth floor as well. Which, they look really good, but take my word for it. So does anybody have questions so far?
Will all the parking be covered?
Not all of it, most of it will be. There is kind of a courtyard in the middle between the kind of existing buildings and the new building, and there's a bridge that connects the two. And yeah, we have gone to the Franklin Clinton Block Club, to the Ohio City Design Review, and to Landmarks Commission all for the first time. They require at least 2 times each of those.
And what was the feedback?
The feedback was mostly positive. There was some in the local or Ohio City Design Review and in Landmarks, there was some feedback about the proposed west building on 26th. You know, the materials, the kind of details of it, and we're not, you know, completely through, you know, designing. This is kind of the first try at it. But yeah, it was mostly focused on that building. And a few things on the entryway, which we'll hopefully be able to see here soon. But yeah, this is, we're planning to go for historic tax credits. So the tax credit process kind of has a lot of, you know, say in how the buildings are designed and how they can be used, how high things are and everything. So that kind of, you know, tightens things up a bit. And
Yes. I mean, yeah, PowerPoint is, yeah.
any other questions so far?
Mark, have you bought a new building behind you, or is that new construction?
So there's the 2 existing buildings on 25th Street. One is a 3-story building, the old Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry headquarters, and then just north of that is the Fleetwise Truck Parts building. So there's 2 existing buildings, and then we'd be adding a new building on West 26th Street.
Okay.
Mark, how many employees do you think there will be running the kitchen and serving people and tending bar and all that?
Don't have an exact number, but it would probably be with, you know, everything we have going on, you know, at least minimum 50, I would imagine, altogether with, you know, all the shifts and everything like that. 7 days a week, 24 hours, you know, there's a lot of different things going on.
Will we have access to the bar if we're not staying there?
Yes.
Good question.
Get that on yeah, no, absolutely. Part of, you know, it is a smaller hotel, so, you know, kind of what makes a kind of smaller boutique hotel in a neighborhood like this, you know, really work is to have, you know, to attract local residents as well. Whether it's a restaurant or the bar, but yeah, so it has more of an active feel, and, you know, you can meet some locals, meet some travelers, that's the idea.
And then, are you going to lease that restaurant out, or will that be something you will run?
Well, we have a hotel management company that would run the hotel, and they would most likely run the restaurant as well. But they'd be working with, you know, local partners in that endeavor. There's a couple management companies we've been talking to, and they've, you know, done many similar hotels like this, and you know, working with, you know, local restaurateurs, kind of under their guidance is kind of what they see works best.
Way to go.
So yeah, here is what I was trying to describe. Probably a little easier to see it. But on the bottom in the pink is the existing 3-story building with a restaurant, would be patio on 25th, kitchen in the back, access for loading in the back off 26th. The yellow is the new infill building that connects the 2 existing buildings, so that would be the lobby. Then the pink part to the north, top is the retail space. And then on 26th Street is where the parking's accessed. We have the gray shaded area represents the building above the parking, so that gives you an idea how much is undercover and how much is not. And then you can see the connector there of the bridge. And here's the second floor, all rooms on the second floor, broken up into on 26th and on 25th. Then the third floor, there's no third floor on the Fleetwise building, so it drops off, and we have rooms on both 26th and 25th. And then the fourth floor here, on 25th, we just have the rooftop bar, which is mostly inside, but there is the patio overlooking the park. And then on the 26th side, we have the 6 apartments. And the basement plan is just support areas for the hotel and restaurant. And these are just some other examples of buildings on the immediate blocks that have been redone recently. And this is a picture of the Fleetwise building back in the 30s or so, what it looked like back then. It's very well utilized with 4 different businesses. And then here's a picture at the corner of Detroit and 25th, looking south down West 25th Street, back in some busy days as well. And you can see the top of the Fleetwise building there, the sign, and then just further down is the top of the 3-story building. You see all the signage and activity on the street there. And then this is the rendering of what the front of the proposed hotel will look like. We have on the right here, Fleetwise building renovated, restored. In the middle is the new connection building, the infill building, and then the 3-story building at the end there. And so pretty much from the street, you wouldn't really see, you know, the roof deck or anything up there. It kind of heads away. And then here's a view from that same perspective from as we just had. So looking down 25th again, and hopefully the building on the left there will not be very much longer. Oh, it is nice. Here are just more views, other angles. And again with the mural, gives you a little more context there. And then this is just coming around the side on Church Avenue. You can see the connector between the new and existing buildings there. And then coming around to the corner of West 26th and Church, kind of get an idea of the scale of the new building there. And then this is a view down West 26, looking south from Detroit. Gives you an idea of what's existing and how that'll fit in there. And then this is more of a close-up of the new West Wing with St. John's Church as well. And just some more views of that new West Wing. This is obviously the biggest kind of new portion of the project, which I think is why it attracted the most attention from the design review. But that's the presentation. Now that you're able to see it, do you have any questions?
Sorry if I missed this before, but any consideration for environmental efficiency for especially the infill building, the new construction?
Yeah, so we do plan to pursue the environmental standards that the city has set for the tax abatement for the apartments. And that would require the original building to have those same green standards. So that would work out, even though it's going beyond what the tax abatement would get for the project.
So again, how many hotel rooms?
63 rooms, hotel rooms, 6 apartments, rooftop bar, lobby, restaurant, and some retail space. Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for your patience. I know we've had our share of technical difficulties this evening, but for our next section, I'm going to invite Gigi Benjamin, our governance chair, to come up and take over the meet candidates. I do want to say briefly, so Chris Schmidt, our board chair, is not here this evening. He is home with COVID, unfortunately. Chris is up for re-election. He has served for quite a long time, as has Joel Miskus and Helen Smith, who have, I think, given a tremendous amount of service to this neighborhood. Laurel Mittner, also here, is running for re-election. She has served the remainder of a term, and I just want to say all 4 to them, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our community and our organization. I appreciate your leadership and support, and best of luck, but if this is parting ways, right, again, I want to publicly acknowledge everything you guys have done. Thank you.
Pick
Oh.
the first speaker, please.
Austin Dixon.
Thank you.
So our format tonight will be each candidate will have up to 3 minutes, and I will interrupt them at the end of the 3-minute period. And as Tom indicated, he indicated 1, and there's a second candidate who is not here, and I have a statement that I will read from them, and then at the end we'll take questions.
My name is Austin Dixon, and I'm a candidate for the Ohio City Incorporated Board of Trustees. Just going to take a few minutes to talk about who I am, kind of what I've done, skills I bring, that sort of thing. So I moved into the Cleveland area back in 2019, and I moved into the Ohio City area back in July of 2021. I moved here from Bowling Green, Ohio, where I went to college. I got my bachelor's in business and supply chain, international business. And then while here in Cleveland, I actually went to Ohio University during the pandemic online. I just finished back in December my master's in supply chain and business operations. Currently, right now in the city, I actually work for a local nonprofit. I don't know if anybody here has heard of Digital C. You'll probably be hearing about them very soon. We just won a city RFP to provide internet to the whole city. My role there, I'm a network engineer, so I'm working on a lot of the big projects we've been doing to provide internet access to a lot of the underserved areas of the community. Some more things about what I like about Ohio City, though, in general, is, like I said, I've been in this area since 2001. So being here during that, I've seen a lot of different projects, initiatives, improvements, building, construction. It's a lot going on in this area. Ohio City Incorporated is behind a lot of what happens in this area. They do a lot of events, they do a lot of community engagement, such as the Ohio City Open that just happened this past Saturday. I actually volunteered there from the whole time. That was a very fun event to go to. It was fun meeting a lot of people there, you know, serving food, serving ice cream, helping people clean up there. It's just nice to be involved in the community. When it comes to my skill set, though, obviously my education helps, my work experience helps, my personal experience helps, and I think a lot of the skills that I gained throughout the years would be beneficial to the community and in this position. I've had experience with accounting, marketing, technical skills, like as a project manager, obviously working with a lot of these organizations in the city, such as CMHA, other local organizations, library. It's definitely very helpful. It's prepared me for this role, and I'd like to be part of the organization.
Thank you.
Christian. Oh,
Okay, Christian, that's me.
the one that's not here.
Right, that's me. Bear with me, I'll put my glasses on so I can read this.
You gonna time yourself?
I know it takes less than 3 minutes. Okay. Here's Chris's, here is Chris's presentation. I'm so sorry that I cannot be there this evening. My entire family came down with COVID late last week, and we're still quarantined at home. Thankfully, we're all doing well and hope to be back out in the world soon. I want to retain my position on the Ohio City Inc. Board of Trustees to continue to guide the impressive growth and development of our neighborhood in a formal capacity. These continue to be exciting times in the history of our city and our neighborhood, and I feel strongly that I am an ideal candidate in terms of skills, relevant experience, and energy to help lead our neighborhood forward. I've been an active trustee for the Ohio City Board for the past 11 years, and have had the honor of being the board chair and president since 2016. My wife and I have been active organizers and participants in the major Ohio City events, including coaching our daughter's Near West Rec soccer teams, organizing and leading fundraisers, and taking part in neighborhood cleanups. We've lived on 26th Street for the past 13 years and just bought our forever home on Fulton. Our daughter attends Near West Intergenerational School, and we love being able to raise a city kid in such a close-knit and active community. If I am reelected, I promise to continue to be an advocate for strategic, sustainable growth that complements our existing infrastructure while diligently maintaining our core identity as a walkable, affordable, family-centric, and diverse urban neighborhood. I promise to use my professional marketing experience and passion for the neighborhood to empower others to market Ohio City to their neighbors, to visitors, and to the world as a great place to live, work, visit, worship, serve others, and play. And finally, I promise to make all decisions with community safety fully in mind as a top priority for homeowners, renters, business owners, community institutions, and visitors. Leading this organization is one of the true honors of my life. I appreciate your consideration of my candidacy and humbly ask for your vote on Election Day. Bob Baker.
shorter than 3 minutes. Hello everyone, my name is Bob Bigger. I've lived in Ohio City now for about 10 years, I think. It's been a real great place to live. I've fallen in love with it. I've always been a Clevelander at heart, a big advocate for the city, but Ohio City's really become my home. I live here with my wife and dog and newborn son, who's about 5 months. So my motivation is really to help continue Ohio City's great work, make this a great neighborhood to live in for me, my family, for all of you, and love what's going on. And I think the organization is doing well and want to continue all of that. So would love to get your vote and know that I'll work hard on this board. My background is primarily in finance, and I work in commercial real estate at the moment. So I would like to use those skills to help our neighborhood grow in a nice, responsible way, and I think we can push for development that's beneficial to all. Thank you. Joel with biscuits.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joel Biscus. I've lived in Ohio City since 2006. I live with my wife and my 5 kids on Clinton Avenue. I've been an OCI Board of Trustee since 2007. And it's something that I always cared about. I think I can speak for all the trustees. You don't, it's volunteer time. You don't do it unless it's something you care about. And I was thinking about, I remember something someone told me a while ago. It said, never waste someone's time volunteering for something you don't care about, because you're not going to do a good job at it. So, but fortunately, I think, people who get involved in OCI, they care about it. So it's something that, and we have people showing up at meetings, so it's nice to be part of a very passionate community. Part of my background, I mentioned I've been a board member since 2007. Served a couple terms as board secretary, a couple terms as board vice president. I've chaired the real estate land use committee for about 10 years now. My education background, law degree, or master's degree in planning. After college, I spent 3.5 years in Latin America volunteering. Been a high school teacher, and since 2006, I've been essentially an urban planner. I work for an organization that has offices here in Ohio City called Land Studio. And I really get to work on the projects that I love. For the past decade, about over 80% of my workload has been projects that are right in Ohio City or adjacent to it. The Lakeland Trail, Good Foundation Lakeland Trail, Red Line Greenway, Winnie Park Bridge, and the thing that I spend the vast majority of all my time right now is Irishtown Bend Park. I get to work on projects that I love that have an impact on our community, things I get to walk to every night with my kids and talk about what we're doing. And it's something that I believe in, and so fortunately, I think that's something that helps me be a better trustee. Also helps me, my work helps me be a better trustee for OCI. And I think being a board member, it also helps me at work too. I understand the neighborhood better because parks are unique things. You can't have a park that's just an off-the-shelf design. It doesn't work. You have to understand the people who live around the park in order to design something. I started talking a lot. At 30 seconds. All right. You got to understand, the people who live around something to design it. It's got to be, people aren't going to use it if it's just not tailored to them. And same thing goes with neighborhoods. With CDCs, I've worked with a lot of different CDCs on my projects and learned some good stuff and bad stuff, but ultimately, you got to know the people. You got to listen to people in order to understand the best solutions. It's like a puzzle. Like every person's got a little bit of the truth. If you don't put it all together, you're not going to know what the whole picture is. So, thank you. Alan Carr.
Hello everyone, I am Allie Carr and I live on Franklin Boulevard. I have lived in the Ohio City area or Tremont since, besides a 2-year hiatus in Lakewood, since 2011, and I've set down roots in the neighborhood, owned my current home for about 4 years now, live there with my family, which also includes a newborn and my daughter and husband, and I'm in real estate. I have been now for almost 10 years and have had the option to really get to know a lot of areas around the Cleveland area and selected Ohio City for a reason. I love it so much. It's so walkable, the history, the beautiful homes, the neighborhood, the people, the businesses, all the people I've gotten to know. I've just fallen in love with the neighborhood, and I think we'll be here for years and years to come. And so I actually think it's pretty overdue for me to get more involved, and I want to thank Nia for encouraging me to run for the Board of Trustees, because I'm always very busy, but I'd like to get involved more so with something I'm so passionate about, because I'm listening to people who are considering moving to the area and also people who select to move out of the area too for certain reasons. So I think I hear different people's reasons for loving the neighborhood and maybe not staying in the neighborhood, and sometimes they loved it but maybe something happened, whether it's safety or whatever it may be, and I'm just listening to all of that all of the time, and I just thought that I would be well equipped to help serve in that capacity. I also help run we have an office in Gordon Square. It's we're the Berkshire Hathaway there, and so I have experience in running an office, having employees. I have a background, I have my MBA, I have a background in finance as well, and so I just think I have a number of different skill sets that could help serve the community, and I look forward to this opportunity and having a better chance to directly impact this neighborhood and my family and my different friends in the community and people I haven't met yet, and that I hope to going forward through this channel. So I'm not sure I'm at time, but that's all.
Helen Smith. Okay, Helen Smith is not here, but I have a statement from her as well. I was going to say we didn't have a PowerPoint, this would be easy, but I had to find the here we go.
This is a statement from Helen Smith for Candidates Night. Thank you, Gigi, for this courtesy. I have a board meeting for Promise Academy, and I'm needed for a quorum to conduct business. I'm presently on the board of OCI and chair of the safety committee. In 2015, OCI started the camera program, which has contributed to making Ohio City a safer neighborhood. $60,000 was raised from the community and our councilman, and cameras were placed in 16 locations with the assistance of host volunteers. The cameras have proved to be a great assistance to the Cleveland Police Department. Several years ago, the Special Improvement District was expanded to include all of West 25th Street and up Detroit. Our OCI Safety Committee is working very closely with the Ohio City Improvement Corporation. We are presently evaluating every location and converting to new cameras, which will allow remote access. Ohio City has spent $13,000 on camera upgrades and has been awarded $30,000 from Councilman McCormick's casino allocation to complete upgrading the system. If elected, I want to continue working with OCIC to strengthen this program. I would ask for your vote and thank you for attending this evening.
President like to serve?
Laurel.
Laurel.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for spending your time with all of us. I love coming to these meetings. It's one of the things that got me so interested in Ohio City Inc. and becoming a board member. I am currently on the board. I was nominated to serve the remainder of someone's term who had to remove themselves from the board. So I've been with OCI for about a year now, and I would love the opportunity to continue to serve. I feel like for engagements like this, it kind of takes some time to really get your feet wet and understand the inner workings and how you can contribute. So I'd love to make sure that that mutual investment continues to grow and flourish. I live in the neighborhood. I am over on Bridge near Masons, and my husband and I have been there since December of 2020 when we bought our home. We relocated from Chicago and really saw this as such an amazing place to make an investment, both financially and through our time and commitment to the community. I grew up in the Cleveland area and then went to Chicago, spent some time there working with Jones Lang LaSalle, commercial real estate company, and then we relocated back here when we wanted to buy a house and have a dog and still live in a neighborhood that was urban and walkable and all those great things. My background is in marketing. I'm currently the digital marketing director for a company called Navex. So I have a lot of marketing experience and web experience that I think could help me serve OCI better in the future. And then the committees that I'm on there are marketing and safety. So helped out with the Ohio City Open last weekend, some other stuff with the marketing team, and help out Helen with the safety committee as well. In terms of really where I see my stronghold in my role here is I'm also the secretary for our neighborhood block club, RWJW. So thank you. So really the opportunity to get so engaged at a hyper local level with my very close by neighbors, and then take that insight to the board and vice versa, I think is a great experience that I've had so far, and I'd love to be able to continue. So thank you for your consideration.
Wasn't nervous at all while waiting.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Emily Lungard. I'm humbly applying for a board position, and I'd really be honored to have your vote. A little bit about me. I'm your neighbor just over on West 41st Street, proudly representing South of Lorraine. Thank you, South of Lorraine. My husband and I, Lauren, who's Lauren right here, were attracted to the Near West Side years ago for a lot of reasons, but mostly because of our neighborhood's commitment to inclusion, our deep history of social services, and our diverse residents and businesses. Honestly, we were really drawn to Ohio City because of folks like you, meetings like this. Today I can say I've gardened over on West 44th Street. I've coached many sports with Near West Rec. I've hosted movie nights at Greenwood Park, the best kept secret of the neighborhood, by the way, Greenwood Park. I've collected signatures across Precinct J, and I've even written the occasional letter to BZA with the Fulton Lorraine Bailey Block Club. Shout out to the Fulton Lorraine Bailey Block Club. I think there might not be many of us here, but it's the best block club in the neighborhood. So there are a few reasons why I want to join this board. I'm only going to bore you with 3 of those reasons tonight. One, my experience. I have public sector experience with the federal, state, and local government. I've worked with elected officials, constituents of all types. I've lobbied in City Hall and down in Cap Square in Columbus. For years, I worked at a local affordable housing organization, so I've really come to understand the complicated world of housing, funding mechanisms, and policies associated with it.
I had the honor of a lifetime helping to build a community coalition to address childhood lead poisoning called the Let's Save Cleveland Coalition. And today I work in philanthropy at the George Gunn Foundation, work on sort of interdisciplinary projects, bringing funding streams together, people together to work on some of Cleveland's biggest problems. The second reason that I wanted to share with you tonight is what I hope to accomplish, at least some of what I hope to accomplish. One, I hope to support the OCI team. Can we get a round of applause for the OCI team? I've come to know them, especially through the real estate committee, and they really have such a genuine, deep commitment to lifting all of our voices, and I'd love to support that a bit. I hope to bring a perspective from an area of the neighborhood that I think can sometimes be overshadowed. Ohio City is not a monolith, and I really think we need some representation from south of Lorraine on our board. And I hope to bring a measured, nuanced voice on affordable housing. Affordable housing, unfortunately, is under attack by our state right now. Thank you. And Gigi's here already, oh my God. And I really want our neighborhood to be sort of on the cutting edge of fighting that fight for affordable housing. Am I done? Yes. Oh my gosh. All right, well, thank you so much.
Okay, so I want to remind everyone before we get to questions that the election is next Tuesday, the 23rd. You can vote at the OCI offices. Will there be a polling place at
Riverview?
At Riverview, okay. And if you want an absentee ballot, you can ask for one from Lisa Raber, who's in the back waiting. So if you can't come in that day, you must be a member of Ohio City Incorporated to vote, and membership closed a month ago, or 3 weeks ago, so if you're not a member, if you don't know if you're a member, Lisa can tell you when she's in the office. But we do hope that everyone will vote. And we'll be happy to take questions. If you have questions, please come up to that microphone.
Questions can be for any or all candidates.
Could you just make clear how many how many seats are open?
Yes, there are 5 open seats. There are 4 regular rotating seats, and there's 1 open seat that was vacated and during the year, and we chose not to fill it, and we're filling it now. So there are 5 seats. We have 9 candidates. And for those of you that don't know, the information about the candidates is on the Ohio City Incorporated website, so you can read more about each of our candidates there.
How many people can you vote for?
You can vote for 5. Yeah, you can vote for 5. The top 4 will get the 3-year term slots, and the 5th person will get the, I think it's 1-year remaining term. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Brian. I live in the Orchard School neighborhood. First of all, I want to thank everybody for your commitment. Those of you who have had board seats and those of you who are aspiring to have a board seat, that shows a lot about your dedication to this neighborhood that we all call home, and I appreciate that. I wanted to ask about the Youth Drop-In Center in Franklin, which has been a topic of a lot of discussion the last several months in these meetings and elsewhere. And I'm not asking anyone to state their position on that particular project, but I would like to see if any of the candidates could offer something that could add to the discussion to maybe make it a little more amicable between folks who have different opinions about that. Well, let's face it, controversial topic. Maybe some things that in meetings, public meetings, or online discussions that you've seen that you think, like, wow, this really needs to be said, or these people really need to be heard. Would anybody like to comment on that? Thank you.
Thanks for that question. I think the Youth Drop-In Center is truly one of those important conversations happening in our neighborhood right now. I will say I am fully in support of the Youth Drop-In Center. And one of the reasons why, and I want to share this because I think it helps for the dialogue, is when you ask vulnerable youth, the LGBTQ youth in our community, those who need these services desperately, where they want to receive those services, that is the location they've identified. That is the specific place for the folks experiencing homelessness, who need these services, who are the most vulnerable among us. That's where they want to be served.
Thanks. I agree. I'm also in support of the drop-in center, and just in addition to what's already been shared. I've also been paying close attention to the projects on 45th on Lorraine and 50th on Lorraine, particularly because the one on 45th is a hot topic at our block club. And one event that I went to that I thought was quite helpful was kind of a roundtable discussion that we had at the OCI offices a few weeks ago, where it was neighbors at a table sharing their thoughts and sharing their opinions, and Carrie McCormick facilitated a conversation and took notes and helped compile those notes together for design review and things like this. So I think as much as this kind of forum is great to share updates and kind of broad strokes about what's happening, if we're going to have meaningful dialogue, it can't be when someone's at a podium with a microphone, and it can't be fully done online.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. And thank you for coming, and please remember to vote.
And thank you again to all of our candidates for running. Good luck on the 23rd. We will be getting a new hotspot tomorrow. We'll start live streaming these again. Our next community meeting, I believe, is June 20th. As Joel mentioned, I think was said before, some of us have spent an awful lot of time for an awful long time working on Irishtown Bend Park. I think with a little bit of luck, at our June 20th meeting, we will be coming back with kind of a revised concept, because we're looking to move that towards Planning Commission and approval in the July-August timeframe. So it could be an exciting meeting. But thank you guys so much for your time tonight and your willingness to come out. We appreciate you. I appreciate Brandon and Nate trying to work with the computer crashing. Clearly the nonprofit needs to buy better computers. But thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Have a great night. And thank you to Matt.